Your radio is currently tuned to Nova Southeast Mako Radio, broadcasting on WKPX 88.5 FM Sunrise. Welcome to episode 4 of Inside the Tank, presented by Quarterdeck. I'm your host, Josh Raphael. I hope you've all had a safe and happy holiday season. We are excited to have you back ready for a new semester of NSU Athletics. Let's kick things off today. I have our first guest head coach for the NSU softball team, Julie LeMaire, softball player Alexis Smith. How you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yep, I'm really good. Thank you.
Last year, I'm lost of words for what you guys did. First World Series appearance, first South Super Regional Championship in school history, first 40-win season since 2010 for NSU softball. I mean, you guys did it all. You know, head coach LeMaire, I'll start with you. Kind of walk me through, what were the feelings like going through all that last year?
Oh, gosh. Well, obviously it was nothing short of incredible. I feel like everything that we do and we talk about, it doesn't matter who you are, what school you're at, like everyone's end goal is that. Sometimes it's a little more realistic than others. And I think once we got in the thick of things, it was just a straight whirlwind, but excitement. And I think the girls enjoyed every minute of it. But, that just shows them that they're capable of doing that. And I think it just gives them more momentum moving forward.
Yeah, and Alexis, you've had one of the best seasons for an NSU softball player in history. You broke records left and right. Did you do anything different last year? What would you say was the biggest difference that kind of led to that success?
So last year, I would say the season prior to that, I kind of got a glimpse of how a great player I could have been. And I feel like last year I kind of tried to eliminate a lot of my stress and being anxious and trying to put a lot of pressure on myself doing well and just playing the game. I had, as Coach Summer said, a lot of fun last year, so I think that helped a lot. But I just kind of saw it as pressure free, and I knew if I couldn't do it, my teammates would pick me up and vice versa. So it was just a lot of fun. Also, the more you win, the more
Yeah.
people are there to cheer you on. So that really helped me kind of stay in the groove of things and keep having a good season.
Yeah, and Coach LeMaire, you've had a lot of good teams before last year. What would you say is the difference between last year's team and the years that you've had prior?
Oh, gosh, that's hard to probably put in words. Honestly, the kids that we had and just the staff and team we had was truly unmatched. I think one of the biggest things here in particular is we've been putting a lot of emphasis of trying to get everyone to get on the same page. And I really felt like last year and the year prior were the first couple of years of truly seeing kids that all wanted the same end goal. They wanted to do extra work outside of practice. They wanted to win. They wanted to put their name out there in the top of the nation. They wanted to be here for more than just the country club lifestyle and the beach and the fun stuff that goes along with South Florida. They wanted to put their mark on NSU softball. And I think we had glimpses of it in years past and other places I've been and all of that. But, a little bit of it is the cards have to fall the right way. But we had kids that truly believed that there was a chance for a postseason run and that there was a chance to be the team that could play together and play for each other. And I think the team chemistry developed amongst that because they did have the same end goals. And I think that truly separated us apart of a lot of teams. We had kids that played very interesting roles at the most important part of the year, and not everyone gets that. And I think that's what separates you for being a team that's one of the last ones standing versus one of the teams that are not.
Yeah, and Alexis, I know we kind of talked a little bit about the records that you broke. I think I had a conversation with you the other day, and you didn't even know you led all divisions with 14 triples.
I did not.
And that's just, one of the many records that you already broke. Kind of talk to us a little bit about the emotions that you felt during that.
Well, at the beginning, I had no idea that was even in the picture or happening. But obviously, once it happened, I was really excited. I was kind of taken aback because I always talk to Coach Lemaire about how my freshman year or when I first got here, I was just such a different person and
Yeah.
player. I like never would have thought any of that would ever happen. So I was kind of like surprised for the most part. And then like, you know, the more I like let it sit, I was like, wow, I hold records here. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, like it was really happy, and it's like really fun because like my whole family, we're like a big sports family. So like my mom loves it. I get to tease my brothers because they're not as good as I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just say it was like a really fun, happy moment for me, and like celebrating with my teammates and like my family, and obviously Coach LeMaire.
Yeah, and Coach LeMaire, with this being your 9th season, at NSU, I believe your 14th season overall coaching, kind of talk to us about your journey and how you got to this point.
Well, D2 is all I know. So I played it, and then have been at multiple different places until now. But I mean, it's the journey is basically, when I was done playing, I knew while I was going through it that I would coach. I was kind of one of those teammates that sort of was, I would say like direct and probably sort of like in that, not, I guess, leadership vocal role. So it came easy for me to decide that I wanted to do it. And I always wanted to do it because I couldn't play. So it wasn't really about coaching when I first started. It was, what do you do when you can no longer play? And then the more I've been on the coaching side, I love to pick apart the game. I love to watch young women develop into players they didn't know they could be. I love to build unique relationships with my staff, and I feel like I truly, most of my players, like I have relationships with them far beyond. So that's what's probably driven me just as much as anything, and being able to see programs go from struggling to on top has been obviously very rewarding and allowing me to stick through it. So this was another one of those opportunities where Nova had a lot of success prior, and this just gave me an opportunity to see where we could take it when I came back here. And 9 years went really fast, but yeah, it's like 9th season, and we just have, like, the group of kids we have and have had the last few years is, just something that I just think it has come full circle from when I took over, and I'm really proud of where they're at and where the program's at during the journey.
Yeah, and you guys have a lot of new faces this year, 11 newcomers. How have you seen them been able to adapt to the Sharks' playing style?
Oh, gosh, I think we're really excited. Everything from the ground up. I mean, we've had some from key losses, and I think you're going to really see some exciting players this year that not only are continuing Sharks softball, but they're adding a new little spin to it too. Brenna Lukinski is going to be a really interesting player to watch, both defensively and offensively. And Alicia Lanyon's going to be another addition to our infield that's going to bring a very nice bat to the offense. And we just have so many players that I think are adding a little bit of a different spin that we've had. Aubrey Hutzler brings some really nice power and gives us another addition behind the plate to Maddie. And, Gianna Russo, we see a little bit of like effortless power out of her from time to time. And, Lex has really been like kind of that driving force in the lineup, but we're going to have a little bit of a different look because her and Rye bring so much speed with like extra base power. But I really think these guys are going to add some infield defensive talent and some bats to be able to let them fly around the bases a little bit more than have to do some of that themselves only. And I really think that, we have some good things that are exciting. And the biggest part is they came in here talking about how they wanted to be a part of what we were doing. Most of the kids, you have to explain to them that this is what we are doing, and you need to try and figure out how to adapt to that. And a lot of them have been like, we want to work hard. We want to get after it in practice. We want to be a part of the success that you guys are having. And that's a unique conversation for people transferring in. And we have such a good veteran core between Lex, Rye, Mad, Kirst. I mean, we have, and Liz and Julia came in the way they did last year as transfers, like that. I think we're really excited about what we're capable of doing, given where the girls, left us last year.
Yeah, and Coach LeMaire, you mentioned speed. I'm going to turn this to Alexis. So
Why?
obviously you were speedy around the bases this past year, and a lot of people don't know you're a pretty good flag football player, in high school. So
Very.
talk to us about that. Do you think your flag football days kind of helped you a little bit in softball?
I think to an extent, I would say like my coach for flag football, he reminds me a lot of Coach LeMaire in the sense of he was always like expecting more from me, and once I like surpassed one thing, he was like pushing me to do something else. So I think in that sense, yes, because I'm very like lax. I like to be comfortable, so like pushing boundaries has not been like something I've like been used to all my life. So like that kind of started it there, and just knowing that like a passionate coach is going to be like passionate, whether it's like good and like tough love. So like I really like respond to that well, I think, from him and from Coach LeMaire. So that was fun, and we won a lot in like football, and I loved winning a lot here too.
Yeah. And obviously you're going into your last year. It's a bit bittersweet.
Yeah.
You've been in this program for quite some time. What are some goals that you kind of want to add to your already decorated resume?
Well, I was talking to my roommates about this today, actually. My number one goal is like national championship. I
Yep.
told them I could have the worst season of my life, and if we win a natty, I will be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And then Riley was like, you can't. It's like, okay. But yeah, I would say that's the most thing. Also, just like not taking anything for granted this year. Like,
Yeah.
I do tend to like get really angry or like down when I'm like having bad days. But I just have to remember like this is my last season, so I need to like have as much fun as I can, and I like tend to perform better when I'm
Yeah.
having fun.
Yeah. And Coach LeMaire, final question. Obviously, you bring in a lot of new faces, but you also, you lost a lot of veteran presence last year in Samantha Burke, Tia Williams, just to name a few. What athletes have you seen been able to step up and kind of take that veteran role or leadership?
Well, yeah. Obviously, they are big losses. And one thing I have found with coaching, obviously, is the more you get attached to them, the quicker they seem to leave, whether you realize it's been 4 and 5 years or not. But I think the biggest thing with Sam and Tia is, they were great people and great kids, and that's been one of our biggest things, is trying to find like good people. I give the girls a ton of credit because they create an environment that seems to be fairly drama free, and they love each other, and they truly want to see like the next one do well. This is one of the first places I've been where we have kids that play the same positions that are also best friends and roommates, and that's very rare. So amongst their departure, I think they've left it in a very good place. But out of the 11 kids that we have, like we've got a lot of really good talent, a lot of young talent, some that understand the level, and some they're still trying to figure it out. But I mentioned Brenna Lekinski earlier. I mean, she's a kid that we played against for a couple of years. She came to us from Eckerd because they no longer have, obviously she's into her grad program, but I mean, she's going to be a difference maker with the girls, and she's got the same mentality and really works. She reacts with their group like she's known them for years, and Alicia Lanyon really has just come right in. So I think our infield, it's going to be interesting because everybody's going to look at us and we're going to be pretty new all across the board. So Kirsten's going to be the only returner at first base, and even pitching wise, we're going to have more depth, and I look for a couple of our freshmen to be able to help us with some time and give Liz and Julia some help. But in terms of leadership, it's hard to pinpoint because it's like we have this great group of returners that are doing their thing and showing them what Shark softball is about. But then we have this group of newcomers that are, they're very willing to adapt and react, and it's like they've been here for years, and I think that's something that's rare, and it's hard to come by, but they want the same things, and the end goal is the same. So I'm really proud of our kids that we've had here, but then also like the newcomers, they're going to be our returners next year very quickly as we depart such a big class. So I think that there's some faces that'll surprise some people, but it's like they've been here for a while with like us. It's kind of interesting, but I do look to some of those transfers around the infield to and Aubrey catching to really be leaders in their own sense, not necessarily vocally and or having done it before, but just we like to go by hard work, and I want them to work hard, and that's what we do, and I think that's how they're surfacing as leaders, is just continuing to do things the way we ask them to do it, and I'm just really excited to see them all mesh and mold together on the field this spring.
Yeah, well, Coach LeMaire, Alexis, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you to Quarterdeck for hosting us. We'll be back shortly with our final guest. Welcome back to Inside the Tank. I'm here with head baseball coach Adrian Morales and baseball player Michael Dillon. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I like your sweater, Nike Tech.
I appreciate it. Appreciate it.
So I know we kind of had you on already as like a celebrity guest before, but we're gonna show everyone here who you really are. So first question I gotta ask, kind of what's your backstory? Like, what brought you here?
Well, my backstory: born and raised in Miami, went to school in Miami Springs Senior High, then played 2 years at Miami-Dade College, 2 years at the University of South Carolina, 2.5 years with the Kansas City Royals, 3 years as an assistant coach at Miami-Dade, and then 3 years as a head coach at Miami-Dade.
And obviously you've had a pretty successful career as an athlete, not just as a coach. Kind of tell me a little bit about how has your success as a former player helped your coaching career?
When you're playing in big games and big crowds, it helps you find calmness in the storm, right? And playing in those big games when I was at South Carolina, we were fortunate enough to win 2 national championships, has prepared me for coaching, where I saw my coach be thinking about the 5th inning when we're in the 2nd, right? And always looking ahead. Being in the moment, but also looking ahead and being prepared. And I think that's the biggest thing, was playing in those big games and big moments from the 6th through the 9th inning can help you find some calmness and prepare you. And now I get to prepare my guys for that situation.
Yeah, and Michael, kind of talk to me a little about the transition you had. You've been a Shark for quite some time. You were at Xavier University. Talk to me about that transition when you transferred here.
Yeah, well, transferring is a complicated process no matter where you go or where you're coming from. But the staff here at Nova eased that, especially for me coming across the country. It went as smooth as it could, and I don't know, I've loved every second here.
Yeah, and I mean, kind of tell me about the transition now with, you almost have a whole new team, whole new coaching staff. How has that transition been for you right now?
Yeah, so it's funny. I was talking to some of the older transfers and then some of the returning guys, and we're all on the same page along the lines of it's a new culture with the new staff and all the new players, and everyone's kind of gelling in the right direction. And it's really cool to see. Like, we have guys from different programs. We have high school guys that are coming in, a new staff. So, like, this culture is it's a clean slate, and it's moving as well as it could, and we're all very excited for that.
Yeah, and Coach, I mean, Michael talks about, the transition and how everyone's gelling. What kind of have you done to kind of help them gel the most and be able to come together as one unit during this time?
Well, I think that they know that we work hard, right? Our coaching staff works extremely hard with our players, and we're in the trenches with them, right? When they fail, we fail. When they succeed, we succeed. And it's been a very good, tight group, but there's a lot of chemistry all over the country in the fall.
Yeah.
The true chemistry happens when you put in a lineup over and over and over again, and some guys don't get the opportunities that they want or they expected. Can those guys buy into winning and playing team baseball? Because ultimately that's what matters,
yeah.
Right? So yeah, right now the chemistry. I've never seen a team come together the way they have. But ask me this question in April, and I'll let you know if the chemistry is real or not. Because you don't know until you write a lineup, and you write it over and over and over again. And can guys accept their roles?
Yeah. Right.
Not be content with their roles and still fight and push guys and battle for opportunities, but not be at the end of the dugout, and not be team guys.
Yeah, and obviously you guys have had a whole off season to kind of prepare. We're learning the team from you now because, like I said before, it's a brand new team. Is there anyone in particular or, a couple of people you think we need to look out for?
The game of baseball is it's too hard for it not to be a complete team effort.
Yep.
Administrators, coaching staff, trainers, players, 1 through 38, 39, whatever roster we have. It's not just one guy, because a guy can go down first week and somebody needs to step up.
Yeah.
Right? So we look to our leaders, our older guys, to kind of set the tone. And Michael being a perfect example, the way he goes about his business, every freshman, every pitcher, even older guys, can look to him and see how he handles his business, and how he comes every day with a mindset to get better and prepare himself to be successful this year for himself and for us.
Yeah, and Mike, obviously, Coach talked about, kind of how you stepped up, in terms of that veteran presence. How would you say you and, the other returners have stepped up to help a team that has so many new players?
Like I said about me transferring, I know that is a confusing time for people, and I know like when you're a freshman on a campus, and all of us are just here to make that transition for people just easier and a better experience. So whether it's in the weight room, with classes, there's always going to be stuff that pops up.
Yeah.
And just having a face, an older face to go to that's not a coach, like every program needs that. I had it when I was a freshman. I had it when I transferred here, and just to make sure that even there's a smaller group of those guys, that there is at least, people for these younger guys to go to. I take pride in that. I know even some of the other older guys that haven't been here, they are those people too as well. And I think that it's important it doesn't matter where you came from or how old you are, like we are on this team together. So it's important to find a role and invest in that role, and whether you're happy or not with that role, like you can always work to change that role, but it's just people buying in. And whether you're 18 years old or 23, 24, whatever we have in this world of baseball or college sports now, but everyone needs to be ready to compete. We're gonna have 18-year-olds that need to go out there and be grown men on the mound and in the plate, and I made it my goal to make sure those people are ready and that they feel confident, and not just, it's my freshman year, I have time to kind of sit back.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't help anybody. So we need, especially in a group of a different staff and a group of different people from different backgrounds, we need people to go in and compete.
Yeah, and you mentioned, it's your goal to kind of, help the guys kind of get acclimated. What do you have any personal goals that you have that you want to accomplish this year on the mound?
Personal goals, it's not a personal one, but my main one every year I play baseball is to win a national championship.
Yep.
And my personal goals are to help align with that. I want to have a healthy full year and be my best self when playoffs come around.
Yep.
And that involves every day, from day one, from the fall till now till May. It's just putting in work every single day.
Yeah, and Coach, being brought to a program that has a history of success, what are you looking to accomplish in the Morales era?
Well, I want to sustain success, right? I want our guys to be not only good on the field but off the field. And it starts with, a lot of it starts with the older guys. And I think our first meeting, I told the young guys that we need them to mature fast, right? And it takes everybody. And those young guys are going to have to contribute at some point in this season. But just, man, I want to help these guys accomplish their goals, right? And that's the biggest thing for me. And if it's a championship, if it's a graduation, playing professional baseball, I just want to give my all to them as they've given to me, right? And pay it forward. This game's given me a lot. And I just want us to play tough, blue collar, and represent Nova the right way.
Yeah. And has it been I know you kind of touched on, a little bit about the newcomers, but has the transition been hard? Have they been able to buy in, smoothly, or kind of how's that been going? Because, again, that's 20-plus new guys. You don't see a lot of teams going through that transition. How has that been?
Well, I think when you emphasize the main thing, right, and it's team baseball and to be focused on the priority, and the priority for us is winning, right, especially here at Nova. It's not about your personal accolades or anything like that. That'll happen organically through team success, right? So I think we've done a good job of that, of preaching that, of team baseball, and we're going to win collectively. You know, Mike, when he's on the mound, he's going to need our defense, right? And vice versa. We're gonna need him. So it's a team thing, and I think we've done a good job as a staff, and just the older guys too. You know, kind of reinforcing what we talked about, and it's aligned, right? So I'm excited about the start of the season, and it's going to be a very fun and challenging season for all of us. A lot of guys are new coaching staff, but we're excited to be there at the end, right? And hopefully compete for a conference championship and hopefully make a run at a national championship.
Yeah, and you mentioned that your coaching staff is new as well. Can you tell me a little bit about the coaching staff? Kind of introduce us to them a little bit so we can kind of know more about them.
Yeah, absolutely. So our pitching coach, Brian Morgado, he was with me for my 3 years at Miami-Dade. He played at the University of Tennessee, was an All-American, played professionally as well. He's kind of been the head coach of our pitching staff, and he loves this group. I was with him for 3 years at Dade, and he loves this group more than any group we've ever had. Just because of the maturity, right? It's different. Junior college, you get a bunch of 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds. We have older guys here, where it's easier for him to get things across, right? And guys can pick up things a little bit faster. But he loves this group, and he works hard with them. And he pitched on the mound, right? So it's good for them to come to him, and he knows a lot of the nuances of the game with TrackMan and the old school as well. But he's been with me for 3 years, does a good job. Our player development coach, Chris Beck, just got he's going to be also our student assistant coach. He was with the Toronto Blue Jays in AAA. He's gonna help out. And our analytics guy, Christopher Leone, he's going to handle our TrackMan information, all the analytics. He's been a big help for us as well.
Yeah, and Mike, we kind of talked a little bit about your goals, and obviously, you're kind of reaching towards the end of your NSU career a bit. I mean, kind of what goals do you kind of have for life after NSU baseball?
I'm going to go into this year giving it my all with baseball. You never know when that road ends.
Yeah.
No one wants it to end.
Yeah.
So this year it's a very personal year for me with having a disappointing year last year.
Yeah.
This year, I think every pitch I throw matters, like it always does, but it's just you never know when this road's going to end.
Yeah.
And whether I'm going to use my degree from Nova or baseball gives me opportunities after this, there's no holding back with either one. So I don't want to get complacent with this year and being my last year of eligibility and then have what ifs. What if I would have just given it my all? So there are definitely two different roads, whichever path, but my heart and mind is with baseball right now. So I mean, I'm going to give that my all and see where that takes me.
Yeah, and lastly, Coach Morales, you mentioned kind of the impact you want to have on your athletes. What message or kind of what do you want your athletes to leave with, for life after, you're done coaching them, whether that be, in their athletic careers or, off of the field as well?
Well, athletically, I think, down the road, 5-10 years from now, these kids are going to remember the times in the locker room because that's what I miss the most, right? As a player, wasn't the games, it was the locker room, being with the guys, right? And just to embrace that, right? And the season will take care of itself, and I believe we're prepared, and we coach them tough, and hopefully towards the end of the year, let them go out and play. But after I get to coach them, I want them to be good fathers, right? I want them to be good husbands, and I want them to be leaders in the community. And that to me is the most important thing because this game's going to end for everybody at some point, whether it be now or 15 years from now, right? Hopefully all these guys get to the big leagues, right? But that's not realistic, but being a good father, being a good brother, being a good husband, a good person, and just being good men is what I want them to leave, while they're under me, right?
Yeah. Well, Coach Morales, Michael, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you, Quarterdeck, for allowing us to host our episode. We'll be back the first Thursday of next month. Happy New Year's again.